see if that is
Welcome to another edition of Fight the Matrix. Your hosted ever graciously accepted at Liberty.me. Today, your host Kal Molinet from Liberate RVA. RVA stands for Richmond, Virginia. Today we have our special guest again, Panxer.
They're the lone anarchists in San Antonio. So, broadcasting from the anarchy basement or the anarchy kitchen.
Right. For now until that grows.
Right.
So today we're going to cover another edition of Hate the State.
The state.
And it's been a month since, and there's government still is on its killing spree.
I want to start by saying that I'm wrong. I was wrong from the beginning. You know, when I said, you know, what's it going to take? Is it going to take them burning babies in the streets and you know, like murdering people on national television, like in front of people? Like, what is it going to take? And people are dying so publicly now, and so just out in front of people, and they're still like, well, we need a state, we need it. You know, it's like if they weren't murdering us, they you know, it's like, oh, they have to protect us. Like, dude, on the word, what level does it have to get to at this point? So let's continue. Let's do it.
And you would think that with body cams now, I mean, you already have factual evidence. You already have the videos. You have the image.
Right.
You have
the body cameras that stop zero cops from murdering people.
Right. Yeah. You have the chalk outlines. You have everything. All the evidence you need. At one point, do you stop advocating for reforming, since obviously it doesn't work? It has never worked.
Right.
And realize that it's time to abolish that organization.
Yeah,
right?
We got a whole bunch of corrupts. All we got to do is throw them out and put new ones in, and they won't be corrupted. Oh, I can't even say it with a straight face, man.
No.
But this is their logic. This is their. If only we could get the good ones in. It's like, holy crap. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. None of this has ever worked. So we have a really fun, I guess not fun, but I guess in the way that I guess see the blatant status privilege that you find being part of the criminal justice system. We like to start that off with the judge.
Oh, that's amazing to me, man. God. Well, basically a judge. Let's see. Let me get the details brought up here on the screen. Basically, he killed his own kid. And he doesn't get arrested, doesn't do anything. But basically what we're talking about is a circuit court judge. Let's see, his name is Wade Naramore. So if you've ever been in his purview, I'm sure that you can bring that up and get thrown in jail for contempt. He wasn't arrested. I'm sure he might face charges later, but basically he left his child in a car in like 100-degree heat, probably 120 in the car, 150. For about 4 hours, and friggin' whoops, and basically killed his child, and as of now faces no freaking recrimination. But of course he is a judge. He does believe in unicorns, so maybe it's just time to make another baby and declare himself judicially immune to his own freaking machinations.
Right.
Oh man.
The government could never endanger the welfare of a minor.
Yeah. Well, this is Hot Springs, let's see, Arkansas. Is it Arkansas?
No, it's Arizona in this one.
Arizona. Oh, perfect. In Arizona. Okay, so Hot Springs, Arizona. That's got to be around Phoenix. This is last Friday this happened, and I have heard zero about it on any of the news.
Right. Yeah, he had picked up his child at a daycare center and drove home, went inside, and forgot for about 4 hours that he had a baby.
His own baby.
It's his own baby.
Oh,
he forgot that he had a child for those 4 hours, picking it up and just as if it's grocery bags that you just kind of leave behind, right?
It's a case brief.
Right. And when this occurs, there's no scrutiny of the rampaging effects you have of the police beating down on you and charging you for everything and taking you to court and arresting you and making you look like a heinous murderer, especially the news outlets. But of course, when this occurs to one of government's own, it's you get the privilege of it being hush hush. You wear the magical black robe of cross-dressing, so you can get away with such actions.
Yeah. Well, they might quietly out him on his next term. They might quietly but he'll get full retirement and full benefits, and that you and I and everyone else have to pay for. That lives in the sovereign state of Arizona.
Right. Yeah, that's the best thing about working for one of these criminal justice agencies. If you commit a wrongdoing, all you have to do is quit, right?
I know, right? Resign.
And if only you could do that at any said job. It's like, you know what? I'm retiring my Burger King cashier position. I should not have shot that kid's dog, but I'm going to do what's right and retire, and hopefully that's that.
If only Hitler, if only Mao, if only Stalin had been like, oh, I'm sorry, I resign.
Right.
Sorry for murdering all those people, dragging you all into this party. I know, right?
My bad, guys. Yeah. So I guess this goes into another area of question which I had with Shane Ratliff from Liberty Under Attack in regards. We were talking about peaceful parenting the other day, and there are some people who are asking for if you could show us some examples in which how government supports child abuse, supports you could say endangering children, right? Child abuse, such as speaking.
He doesn't know about CPS.
He knows. Yeah. We had some callers coming in and kind of had some questions in areas like how do you support that thesis? And you have 19 states that do support corporal punishment in public schools, so you already have political rulers there in the position of beating your kid if they do something wrong in the indoctrination camp.
There's at least one a week, and probably more on the YouTubes of like police at the school beating up on kids. I think there was one recently where a kid was in a wheelchair and a cop was smacking on him. Like, come on now.
Right.
How does the state beat up children? What about 12 years of forced indoctrination? How's that? Right. That's mind abuse right there. I mean,
If you miss 3 days of your own forced indoctrination, you will be charged with truancy and thrown into a cage.
Unexcused absences.
Right. Yeah, it's founded on it's what keeps the caste system of cultural hegemony in place. It's to ensure that you have a good understanding of government when you grow up with your parents and with your upbringing is to mold you into the perfect subservient obedience.
Obedience, yeah. Obedience is number one. It's a key rule. Yeah.
So,
I pledge allegiance to the flag every morning. Cultish shit. And they
demand that obedience. Yeah, it's and of course in the past you were chastised or made to feel bad if you're not part of the program, not part of the swearing fealty to a flag.
Oh yeah, you're 7 years old and you're pledging yourself to a government.
Right.
How sick is that shit? Hitler was even doing that shit. There's videos of that fucking shit.
Right.
Oh man.
So you would say then? So you agree then? Yeah, government does support childhood abuse. It's very funny.
It's founded upon it. That's what authoritarian freaking dictatorship is do a say or I stomp you, and that's basically what they learn in these these camps, man.
Right.
Schools, camps, whatever.
Even in the Constitution, it claims that it will bind the posterity of.
Right.
Right. So
your dead child molesting, slave owning grandfather, great grandfathers are going to freaking force you to live in this institution.
Right. So yeah, there's no escape from any of that. So how would you say then? I guess another question that was brought up is how the non-aggression principle would not apply to children, because I guess children are not people, right? Children are not human beings, I guess.
Now, are you posing these questions to me? Because I don't think I'm an authority here.
No, but you did come across, I believe, a court case a while ago. I remember walking through Richmond to help substantiate government's lack of interest or support of childhood endangerment, such as childhood abuse.
And don't turn over too many rocks, man. You'll uncover too much. Can't handle it. Yeah. Right. So, I'm sorry, man. Continue. Go.
No. So I think that goes hand in hand. I think it's all very much related, especially in this story of which you have another child endangerment issue of a judge leaving their own very child. So it's not like they really care to begin with. You have the many judges that throw countless of children into juvenile detention centers for money. There's a huge case for that, right? So you can't say that. The evidence is out there. It's abundant. It's enormous to show that they don't value not much children, but much less life itself.
Well, they value them as chattel. And they're valuable as investment in their future stock holdings in Prison Incorporated.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's all it'll ever be. And so that's good to hear from that. I mean, there's a lot of other stories in which police involvement have been murdering children. The next one we have, well, I guess she's not exactly was a child at the time. I believe she was 18, right there on the cusp. And so in Colorado, Alexis Acker was brutalized by police extortionists, which was caught on tape. And the result was caused her to have her teeth knocked out. And so there's a video
Stop resisting.
Right. Stop resisting, right. So there's a video out there today that a lot of people are watching, and they see in a hospital setting room in a hallway a young girl standing, handcuffed, restrained, and a police extortionist wearing a blue costume saying something to her. She says a phrase back. He shoves her, hits her in the stomach, and knocks her back to sit down. And then, of course, I wouldn't blame her. Her natural, instinctive response is to, respond back towards heading back to her attacker. And so she does a kick, and I guess near his leg to him. And then
there has to be a reason why she was in that cage in the first place, Cal.
Right. And I think
she's the victim.
Right. No, and that is something we definitely need to go over. Because a lot of people will say, well, she had it coming. She should have known better. She's the one who started it. There's a lot of police extortionist apologists out there when they don't actually, go backwards and take a look. It's like, well, she was in an apartment dwelling. She was in a private residence. The only reason that they kidnapped her was because she was intoxicated and acting physically combative were the terms, right? And of course, the first thing the cops are always going to do is say that you're drunk, and they don't have to do much of they don't have to prove anything in that regards.
Right. Well, the first thing they're going to do is lie.
Right. First thing right. They need to justify. So they went to the residence because they thought there was a situation involving a gun and domestic violence, but there's nothing going on. They themselves probably could have called them themselves, right? You can't really ascertain who the witnesses are who are making these calls.
Yeah.
And
that
so
anonymous tip.
Right. And upon arrival, they found no probable cause, and they found no reason to be there. But of course, this also happens to be the residence of someone who has an outstanding warrant for what? Maybe, I don't know what the warrant is, but a lot of this stuff is just missing core. It could be a lot of minor stuff, failure to pay court fines and fees and traffic tickets. So it gives them an excuse, justification to make up for the fact that they don't have probable cause and to kidnap him. And of course, I could imagine her being upset that they're kidnapping her boyfriend and her, saying, you guys are low-life scumbags, or yes, they are. And they being upset and taking a response to that is like, well, now we're going to assault you and kidnap you and throw you to a cage tonight. Have fun. Hopefully I'll teach you a lesson to respect the authority.
Well, if you're innocent, you should have nothing to fear.
Right.
Nothing to fear. It's like, what? Oh my God.
Right. That's something that you have. A lot of people need to understand when they watch this video. It's like, oh, well, she had it come. It's like, well, they take a step backward. She's being kidnapped. Would you not kick back your attacker if they had placed you in such a position? I mean, even when you read the police report, the way that they wrote that description that played out on the video camera was that he was escorted her to the floor.
Escorted. They use that. They've used that on a number of other cases too. They politely escorted them to the floor.
Rolled her to the floor.
Right.
It wasn't a body slam and face smash. Now
but these critics, and the people that spin all this sophistry about victims and criminals and whatever, they never experience it themselves, or when they do, they realize at that point, oh shit, I was so wrong. Please help me, and it's not going to be there for them, man. They have to experience it for themselves. They have to get the boot in the face a few times before they start to get it. It's that cognitive dissonance fucking flush. It's a quick freaking boot to the head, man.
Uh, and
What did Mises say? A socialist's worst problem was having socialist rulers that weren't his friends. You know what I mean? Like just apply that to police. Just throw that in with it's like your worst. Okay, you having your friends come in and stomp you. And my friends are cops. Okay, you know, they're gonna say, "Oh, this is unjust." So
right, right.
come
I
on.
think she's suing them now for quite a substantial amount. I mean, this took place back in
Right.
November 2013.
Right. And no one's going to get fired. Everybody's probably got all their ducks in a row with regard to their pensions, and
right.
it's still on duty.
I'll
Still
just
on duty.
resign. I'll just do a lateral transfer.
Yeah, right.
Different
And
area.
any settlement just paid out of the tax coffers. It'll be fine.
Right.
It'll go away. This is the United States of amnesia. We don't remember anything.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, they didn't even arrest the judge when he murdered his kid.
I know.
Even after the confession, it's like, oh, we get it,
Yeah.
bad things happen.
Which is the jurisprudence equivalent of whoops.
Right.
They're just still not going to put him in a cage. He's a fucking murderer. Holy shit. If I did that, I would be fucking hanged in the streets. Shit.
But yeah, no, I think when you see all the comments on Facebook, when you see all the police apologists coming out there trying to say, well, she should have known better, she should have followed the rules, she should have followed the laws. So,
Right?
well, there says Mark Stevens, so there's no, show me the factual evidence that these laws apply to her, to me. Much less, even if she was intoxicated, now that's her body, right? Or now are you making a claim of restricting what other people can and cannot do with their own body?
Of course they are.
Right. And of course, if that's the law, it's like, well, I guess someone should have told Harriet Tubman that.
Yeah, it's the law. It's like slavery was the law. Freaking putting Jews in concentration camps is the law. I mean,
And Frank should have known better, right? What is she doing? You're breaking the law. Right. So that's the problematic part. That's the area in which that needs to, come over. Hopefully, like shows like this and talking about it bluntly and calling it for what it is helps with that dissonance of understanding. And people like to just watch the videos and not look to see what actually occurred before that, what led up to those events.
And that's stuff we don't have, right?
Right.
That's information we don't have, and and who are we to honestly judge? Who is anyone to judge, really? I mean, as far as the morality involved in here is there's a person chained to a desk. Maybe we shouldn't stomp them or show them to the floor and aggressively subdue them, when they can't defend themselves.
Right.
But isn't that the basis of the authoritarian ideal?
Right.
You can't fight back.
No, if she did try to fight back, she'd be met with more violence, stop resisting, and then possibly murdered.
Like that video where there's like 15 cops taking down one dude in Target and everybody freaking out.
Right. Right. This follows into another murder that happened recently with Sandra Bland, which is seems to be the most recent one most people are talking about.
That's here. That's in Texas, man. That's actually north of San Antonio, I'm told.
Yeah, in Houston.
Okay, in Houston. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, she was found dead in her cage. It's nice how they have the words for this, in her cell, like.
So. It's the Sheraton. Come on, it's a goddamn cage.
When you look at an animal at a zoo, do you say, well, he's entering his cell? And people kind of know that that's
enclosure. He's in his enclosure.
He's in her enclosure.
Shit. In her natural habitat, right?
Right.
Because,
yeah.
Somebody.
And so she was kidnapped for failure to turn on a light in our car, signaling us he's going to switch lanes, which is another area in which police lie all the time, and it's not a.
I'm curious when the court case happens, when the federal stuff kicks in. When they punch in her driver's license number, there's very specific tags that come up, and I'd be curious to read the log on because she was an activist within the I think the Black Lives Matter movement or something like that. She was apparently, that's what the news is telling me. I don't have hard facts of this, but anecdotally, I would be very curious to read the correspondence, the emails, the text messages of all the officers involved for the entire duration.
You'll never see that.
I hope we do.
All that
I'm
will
sure
be
that Anonymous will get it. I'm sure they'll
right.
get it.
No, it'll disappear in their Yahoo invoice messenger. It's like, well,
Well, they won't have it. It'll just be Anonymous. We'll pull up with it. And we've hacked their phones. And,
right. We'll see. I mean, yeah, they're doing that right now. Anonymous. It would be great if they could finally realize and get on board too with just abolishing, right?
I know, right? Oh, it's like, and they're in the venue that like would so be apt to saying governments are irrelevant and fucking obsolete. It's like, dude, we can swim around you. Look, we're technocrats. We can do this shit. And no, we still need governments. We have constitutions.
Right.
Look, I take a constitution every morning in a pot about 20 feet to my right. Oh my God.
They claim that she committed suicide using a plastic bag.
Right. And tied it for herself up, yeah, and with nobody to stop her or realize she was doing it.
Right. Camera footage missing, not working, conveniently at that exact time and moment.
Right.
The devil's on their side, and that kind of helps out. A lot of ex machina moments there. And
Ex machina. Yeah.
Right. And so the other interesting part of that is the mentioning of her, when this news is breaking out that she had THC in her system, that she was on cannabis.
She ingested at some point.
Right, like as if like trying to make it seem like trying to paint her as to her being the bad guy. It's like, she was a cannabis user. She was a smoker. She was injecting cannabis in her veins. It's like, stop it.
Is that even possible? Do that?
I don't know. But yeah, that's another way to discredit her, and in the many ways that they use the words and adjectives to describe those involved. It's like when you go to court and you're on the stand handcuffed. Obviously, you look already guilty, right? Especially if you're in front of a jury, right? The officer is over there, standing tall and freshly shaven, and had a moment to compose himself and change his clothes while you're still wearing your prison garbs, right? That's going to warp psychologically the jurors' decisions. So,
and of course, and the Supreme Court in most of those cases have ruled that yes, putting somebody in an orange jumpsuit does give them, a psychological disadvantage. But the states still go ahead and do it every day.
Right.
So where's your holy Supreme Court there? Fucking, we have the right to marry. Well, what about this? This is just as equally important, right?
Right. Yeah, no, it's something, especially in terms of when you're in their custody, right? And they're responsible for that. And not so much of what occurred in Baltimore when they kidnapped that guy and threw him into the back of that police van. They're responsible for what occurs to that individual.
Regardless of what he's accused of and what he may or may not have done.
Right. That would be manslaughter. That would be murder. Especially in terms of kidnapping her for no reason. That is murder. If it happened, if it was anyone else doing it, if they weren't wearing a blue costume, that's what you will call it.
I know, right? Yeah. Throw a badge on it. It'll make it look better.
Right.
Throw a flag behind it.
Right. If ISIS did that, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that place will be taken down to the ground. But no, they're wearing blue costumes instead of black outfits. So, there's a difference there. Their costumes remind us of sentimentality. So
safety, security.
Right. The indoctrination is strong with these people.
Yeah, true justice, American way, right?
Right. So even though it's very suspicious that she committed suicide, which seems very unlikely. I mean, a lot, especially in terms of the attitude people will say that she gave the police extortionist in the car when he pulled her over, asking her, like, hey, can you put out the cigarette? It's like, why should I put the cigarette out? It's my car, right? What's the problem here? And that's when he says, I need you to step out of the car. And took that as her as a blatant disrespect to his costume and his psychopathic authority. But at the same time, you have to remember who you're dealing with. You're dealing with a violent psychopath who wants to do nothing but hurt you. So, they're looking for any excuse or justification to take you out of the car, to put you in a situation to get further injured.
Well, hurt you comes later. That comes when the remember, this is about a left turn signal, apparently. So, when I think the moment when she challenged the authority a bit, that's when things escalated.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. You have an armed sociopath with the coping skills of a 9-year-old. Ooh, and the argument is, nuh-uh, and I have a gun. So,
Right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're not on your side. They're not going to be the kind of people say, "Oh, well, you're right. I totally respect your privacy. I totally respect your private property." What was I thinking?
I know, right?
Have a good day, ma'am.
The Constitution.
Right here. I'm
Hold
sorry
that
for
up next
harassing
time.
you.
Just put it in the window. Just hold it up in front of the cop and see if it stops him.
Right.
let alone his bullets.
Right. That's something a lot of people need to understand when they are confronted by these police extortions. Like they will hurt you. They'll find any way. They will lie and create excuses to hurt you. Don't find any way to remove yourself from that situation and survive.
And if nothing else, just because they think they own you, and it's just they're bored. A lot of them. If you see you cops, I'll tell them.
Very, very bored. Always looking for something to do.
Oh, dude.
They don't have. Same thing in the military with military police. Not much going on. There's not a lot of violence that occurs. It's really the government that creates a lot of the violence. I mean, it outnumbers private crimes by enormous, substantial amount.
Hell yeah, Fort Lee, Virginia, where I was at, man. Freaking, they had traffic quotas there. Come on, man. They're federally funded. It's like, why? Why do you even need quotas? Like, you'd think that the military base would be the place where you wouldn't have that, right? You're already stealing people's money for freaking the war machine. Why would we need freaking tickets on soldiers? You know what I mean?
Right. For them, they feel that it's. I remember there was a time when the tickets didn't mean anything because you couldn't really put a monetary value on it until like 2 years later. Like finally, the word came through. Now you can charge people tickets and have money attached to it, and you can go to court. And a lot of people have this wannabe cop idea when they get out of the military. So it's like they want the experience of going to court. They want the experience of charging people like upwards to like $200, and then they get off on it and want to be real civil. Yeah. Statism is a hell of a drug. Speaking of the military, and I think what are your thoughts on the situation that occurred recently in regards to a recruitment center? It's interesting.
I have no opinion on it, other than there's a clause in their contract. I'm sure if anybody would want to research what your military contract looks like, they can read it. There's a death and dismemberment clause, in the contract. So yeah, okay, it's in the abstract, it's tragic that people were aggressed against and killed, and their families would have to suffer. I get it. Sorry, but dude, they wore the uniform. They assumed the risk. That's it.
Right. Yeah, they have. They have the military rules of engagement. Well, not rules of engagement. Like you can't really arm yourself.
Well, okay. Even that. This is the calculus of the effects of foreign policy. Ultimately, coming home and oh shit, it's here. And the defense establishment will just use it as the lone wolf, and they'll hunt individuals who arm themselves, and to eventually turn itself on the constitutionalists or the people that want to, question authority, or minarchists, basically, libertarian-minded. And it's an excuse to elevate budgets and freaking sell T-shirts and put the flag at half-mast, and everybody has a warm chubby. Meanwhile, there's 4 fucking graves. It's like, fuck, I'm sorry, I don't give a lot of thought, guy.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Now you have a lot of folks who are trying to go to the recruitment center, and the military telling them not to.
Yes. The Labradors, the sheepdogs.
Right.
And it just reminds me of it's Stockholm syndrome, and it's just a dog holding its own leash. Really, good job. When has one soldier fought for freedom? Fought for your personal freedom? Can you name one? Oh man, when has one shell been fired during a session of Congress at the Capitol building? Never once.
Right. How many freedoms have they safeguarded and protected and defended, or granted more in that regards?
Since 9/11, let's not even put it in a historical context. Just in somebody that has been born since or recently prior to 9/11, how many more freedoms do you have? Do you feel more free or less free? How do you respond to that, Cal? I mean, like, dude,
Yeah,
you're asking me questions.
That's the measure of success, right? And the measure of success is failed.
Right.
The
Well,
military has failed in defending your freedom. The military has failed in its mission and protecting or granting you more freedom, and especially when it's here at home where it's being lost, not overseas.
right. Oh, yeah. When seeing here, it's like all of a sudden it's tragic. But if it's over in like Libya or freaking some South Saharan freaking hellhole, it's palatable because it's just a news bite. They can turn the channel and go back to the Thrones. I know, right?
So I have there's this question that came up recently on one of the recent YouTube videos in regards to I was debating this Big Brother propagandist recently, and so one of the comments were I suggested something, but I want to hear what you would provide too. So his question was, I need some advice. I was forced in JROTC. Were you ever in JROTC?
How are you forced into JROTC?
All right. I guess I was forced into JROTC by my parents, and I would like to know.
Okay. Right.
And I would like to know how.
Authoritarian, right off the bat.
Right off the bat. I'd like to know how I can openly defy them without punishment. Can you help me? Now, I'm not quite sure exactly which one he's referring to. How to openly defy the JROTC instructors or openly defy his parents.
Both. One is in effect the other.
Right.
Ultimately, to defy the state is to ultimately defy your sense of family. It's your parents, your patriotism. Your father. If how old is this kid? JRTC. That's like what, 17, 16?
Yeah, it seems high school era.
Okay. Well. How I would answer this, then I want to hear your response, Cal. I want to hear your thoughts. My thoughts are boring. Well, first of all, you're 17 and you figured out the authoritarianism sucks. Good for you. It took me like 30-something years and 2 Army enlistments. Good job. So I'm a retard, first of all. And I didn't even grow up with the internet. We had rotary phones when we started out, and NES machines. So you figured it out that authoritarianism sucks. You don't want to participate in the war machine, and you're going to have to defy your parents to do it. Well, honestly, what shows more courage in the face of violence, direct to you violence, than to just not participate, to withdraw your consent, to just, okay, I'll be out here on this parade field, but you're going to drag me every fucking step of the way. That's it. You're going to treat me like baggage? Fine, I'm your baggage. Carry my big heavy ass around all day. That's my thought on it. I'm sorry to be so.
How would you try to? I guess would that be how you would be kicked out of JRTC? It's like how do you get kicked out of that? Right?
They can't kick you out for. Non-participation. You just don't show up. And then the parents are eventually, going to sit down and listen here, Sonny. Friggin', and they just be like, I don't want to do it. Record the conversation. Put that shit on YouTube. Show your parents being fucking assholes about you going to sign up for the military.
Yeah, they want me to join a junior organization that advocates murdering peaceful people.
Well, yeah, it's to groom potential leadership in the war machine, ultimately, and call it for ROTC.
Right.
And, the military has its benefits in the abstract. Okay, I was raised by my parents. I grew up in the military. Well, what we need is a privately funded situation like that, where it's non-coercive. We don't go and fight foreign wars. We groom kids to be leaders here. We need that. There you go, Cal. There you go. We need a leadership program for freaking anarchists. That's what we need. There's our flagship.
I like that. Yeah, that's something we'll have at Anarchon, especially in terms of
patent pending. I came up with that.
That'll be copyright.
IP. I'm gonna steal it.
No, actually, I think that'll be a trademark, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. We'll file for the appropriate government protection.
So every time it's mentioned, they say TM.
I know. I want a nickel every time somebody says it. I want to be like George Lucas and ruin everything.
For those watching, Yeah.
Anarchon. This is a side. This is an aside and derivation. We'll get back to the core material in just a second. But tell us about Anarchon, man. I'm very excited to hear about that.
So Anarchon will be taking place in the northwest region near the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, and it's on a private campground. There's a beach there, lakes you can fish and you can keep. There's also places you can four-wheel drive. ATV and firearm range, so you can practice and exercise your art of self-defense. We're going to have a lot of
classes on gun safety for those for the uninitiated.
Right. We're going to have a panel too on gun etiquette in regards to at what point do you mix alcohol or other vices with holding a firearm, right? What's the reaching point in that? So there's a lot of discussions on that we're going to have. We're going to have a etiquette class. We're going to have Ted Ray, who's going to provide a lot more hands-on training if you want to improve your skills with shooting targets.
And you'll have a test group, and you'll find out what works and what doesn't.
Right. Yeah, and that's how all this kind of will go about. It's our first Freedom Festival, first Anarchy Festival. Right. And make it better in way preparation for next year. And for next year, we hope to. At this one, we'll probably see a minimum of 100 people coming up. For next year, I guess in regards to who would we want to, like people were talking about, well, not people talking about, a lot of the folks that are going there are still new to anarchy, still into anarchy. The anarchy that we talk and introduce, no, it's not the, I don't know, when people talk about celebritarians, it's like there's really not much of a care for any of that. But if we were to fly anyone out there or come by or whatnot, and if we were talking about Mark Stevens,
yes, him.
Yeah, he's been an awesome, consistent anarchist. Is very principled and never seen him compromise his value of principles, and he seems to always from the very beginning. Same thing with Wendy McElroy would be another interest to have up there as well. She's been fighting the good fight for decades. But we'll have a good year after this to start putting something together for that. And
I want to get out there next year.
Oh yeah, please do, buddy.
I have some thoughts, man, especially about like internalizing anarchy and living the example, and not looking like a douchebag doing it. You know what I mean? Not that anarchists are douchebags. I'm just saying, just not being like, oh, your brand of anarchy. You know what I mean?
Right.
What kind of anarchist are you? No, but just living the dream, so to speak. You know what I mean? How to and still, because you have to operate within certain bounds of the public, what the public will acceptably let you get away with without them, caging you or murdering you. And how to basically play the ping pong game, without dying, so to speak, and living more freely. So. And not being a hypocrite for signing a driver's license. It's like, oh, something that you were coercively forced to do. You're a hypocrite because you use the roads. That kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's a way of life. It's a path. It's something that never ends. It's something that you always continue to strive for. Wherever there's tyranny, you continue to exercise. The means of freedom, the means of survival, self-defense, or verbal judo, and in terms of liberation.
Color outside the lines against the day. You'll be glad you did.
All right.
And it fosters creativity, man. It fosters creativity.
Absolutely.
Break one little rule. It's the beginning, man. It's the avalanche.
Right.
Yeah, man.
In terms of the ways that we're all plugged into the state, some people may unplug themselves faster, and others may take some longer in some other areas of time to do so. And there's no judgments or criticism towards them. There's no trying to shame people. Everyone's working together, especially when you have a good community together. You can start pushing that.
Except incomes. You need incomes.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. I love you guys. You guys are great. I will drink with you any day, but please keep your freaking ideals away from me, please.
Yeah, anarchists just be against those who seek to initiate force, right? And essence of anarchy is consent, and so it doesn't matter what's going on and how you want to interact with others, as long as it's voluntary.
I just had a thought. Sorry about
go.
There are cops out there right now that are actually advocating, like former cops that are now in the anarchist movement. I wonder if you can get a couple of those guys. I know there's a couple of guys that were talking out against the war on drugs. And how they were former war on drugs cops that were teaching kids how to like hide their stash or eat it or whatever. That would be an interesting how-to or live anarchy.
Actually, we have a local friend here, Aaron Thompson.
Is he a former cop?
Yeah, former cop.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he quit? He quit on moral principles?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Good guy.
Right there.
Aaron Cap here in Richmond. Good guy. Really, really good guy.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll talk to him about setting up a workshop there for Anarchon. That's what it's going to be about. Anyone's invited to, if you want to be a part of any panel discussion or do a workshop or do a talk, they're more than welcome. The only rule we have is really respect for private property. Really, it's a private campground, so it belongs to someone else, right? But right at the same time, it's this is an anarchist festival, so there's no advocation for political rulers or their political gang affiliates. This is not a minarchist festival, right?
Don't baby out with the bathwater. God.
That's the consistency of principles is our way out of the matrix. The inconsistency of principles is how we got into the matrix to begin with. Exceptions.
And the kind of innovation that this is just the first festival. What we're working on is an algorithm that will actually reconstruct Murray Rothbard's brain based on his writings. And what we're eventually going to do is have a working 3D holographic model of Rothbard that we can stick up and have him be an interactive host to Anarchon. This is the future. This is the future, Cal. Yeah. Dude, DARPA's working on that right now, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
Building AI constructs based on freaking literary works.
I think Elon Musk has recently tried to make an announcement saying that trying to halt the production of AI government war machines,
military applications. That's the range of scope.
Right.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to have a conversation with an AI, man. That'd be great.
All right. I forgot the theme of the festival is state of nature. So it's a way to appropriate the term, the phrase itself from Thomas Hobbes and his version of state of nature. People are mean, cruel, tyrannical, and thus you need a more tyrannical government to control everyone. Whereas we found that actually the state of nature is capitalism. It's voluntary exchange.
Well, even if you look at it from the state perspective, you got 130, 150 some nations fluctuating. And nobody's the head of them all.
Right.
It's an anarchistic system.
Yeah.
Nobody's in charge.
In terms, of competing, systems. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the fun part about Anarchon. It's something that so next year we're going to have a different theme, and we'll just kind of base it off that and just.
So mad at myself. I couldn't hold out for a little bit longer and just be there right now. For that. That would be awesome.
No, you're good, man. Next year's going to be even grander. Next year's going to be even better. Tyler's, we're going to have a lot of equipment out there. Johnny's going to play music.
Yeah, Johnny, check him out. Johnny Richmond on the Facebooks. Johnny5 on SoundCloud.
Yeah, great guy. So we'll have the works. We'll have everything. It's going to be a lot of fun. My mother's going to bring a lot of Bolivian pastries there. You can bring stuff to Trey for.
You're making me that. Seriously, this sucks. I might as well be on the moon right now.
All right, so that's Anarchon, and that's on the 21st to the 23rd of next month. The only fee is just the entrance fee to the campground itself. There's no tickets. Not until we reach a good size, or maybe next year when we try to bring.
Now we get Uber to get everybody out there.
Right. Yeah. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. In regards to the previous statement, rewind the tangent for a second. Back to JRTC guy.
Well, did I answer the question?
You answered the question. Yeah. I'm not going to facilitate the authoritative abusive control you have of my life. Right. I'm not going to enable that. And so, although sometimes I don't know what kind of situation he has with his parents, whether it's a physically abusive one, whether there's more threats of physical harm involved with that. I don't know. I'm just.
Womp on you for a while.
And it's going on the, especially if you're, forcing them to go to JRTC, sounds very strict to begin with, family of obedience and such. So I'm not quite sure what the context of that, with the lack of
You should
information.
remember that though in about 50 years when freaking the tables are turned and freaking mentally ill grandpas in the freaking nursing home. Somebody might misplace his meds for a shift. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean that's something you could just.
Sometimes revenge is slow.
To remind him, it's like, look, I'm not going to be stuck in this cage of a house for long. At one point I will grow up and I will get out, and I'm not going to forget this. This is something I'll always carry with me, and whether that tarnishes our relationship later in the future, then that's up to you, right? Especially if he's in JROTC, I imagine it's high school. You have like 2-3 years, 4 years left with me, and then I'm gone. Is this really how you want to finish the relationship before I, fly out of the nest or escape the cage?
Yeah, enjoy your tax subsidy while you can.
Right.
Get the most out of it.
Right. So I told him if communication has failed, right, in regards. So I assumed that this was in regards to his parents. I imagine JRTC would just be easy to be kicked out of.
Yeah, they don't care. There's always more food for the grinder.
Right. Either that or watch a Malcolm in the Middle episode and find ways in how to get out of the military school that one of the older brothers was in. But so I imagine this would be in regards to his parents. If that's the case, he doesn't have. It's difficult to have much leverage over your parents, especially when they're more physically imposing and they have the law that backs them. Right. If you try to run away, well, we'll just call the cops. Right. Yeah. So.
Well, if the kid wants to take some time and look up some stuff, actually the law can be on his side too, man. A double-edged sword. He can emancipate himself.
Yeah. There should be other ways.
Or if he really wants to do it and be slick about it, dude, just call CPS. He beats me. Then what happens is when he's taken into protective custody, he passes restraining orders and he just screws his parents to the hilt, using the state violence that they were going to use against him.
We'll call CPS on you. I don't know. That's I don't know. There's a lot of harm to children. Right. There's a lot of harm that comes to children through CPS. So that's double-edged.
Oh no, that's the thing. Is like okay, you're in child protective custody. You can fucking leave.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like 17. Yeah, I have legs. I can use these. I have they have smartphones now. They can freaking teleport places now.
Right.
So fucking call up Uber and have them take you away from the danger zone.
Right.
And then if the CPS wants to give you some shit, fucking immediately call the cops. Call 911. I'm being threatened by CPS. That phone call doesn't go away. That's unlawful.
If they take his phone away, if they're in charge of that, I would say the bare minimum, I guess a good leverage you could have. The one that I used was a social ostracism strategy.
Well, of course, I'm using the violence of the state, but I'm just saying, like, how far do you want to take it, Cal?
Right. Oh, I would say try this one first. This might have more practical. It's all practical, but more. See how much this particular area would hurt. So the social ostracism strategy against your parents would be that you don't give them any attention beyond what is mandatory. Right. This would be akin to a hunger strike, but in place of food, it's affection that you're withholding. So be curt in your replies if you have to reply. Right? Don't give them any more than you would to a prison warden. So if they ask you, how's your day? Just say, good. When you go to when it's dinner time, just sit there and just don't eat.
Don't eat their food.
Right, don't eat their food.
Most of these people got part-time jobs anyway. As long as they're required to give you nourishment, as far as.
Right. I'm sure maybe you have some friends on the side. It's like, look, I'm hungry. This is what I'm going through. Yeah, man, I got you. But
dumpster diving. It sounds gross.
Right.
But dude, they throw out good food that's not expired every day because it's getting close to expiring. Just an option.
Right.
Free market season.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good stuff out there. So I would say just do this. Do this for a couple of days. See, eventually they'll start breaking down. Eventually they will want their son to respond to them.
At least open a dialogue without raising a fist.
Right. So that's the best. I would say you can't beat them physically, but you can beat them non-verbally by just not responding to any of that stuff. Don't give them any emotional satisfaction. If you're in a situation in which they're physically abusive, just withhold it in, and just don't respond. Don't give them any response. It's what it is. Just be very still. I would say stoic, but not in terms of stoicism. But don't give them anything if that's where you are, and see if that changes their behavior, and then see if that forces them to cave in. And
you also need to make a statement. You need to say, like, look, I do not want to do this, and have it known to them, and in no circumstances would you want to participate in JROTC. And at that point, then it becomes the against me argument. Are you willing to use violence against me to force me to participate in a program that I'm not willing to do?
Right. Maybe it just has to show them a video of, like, maybe we should do a video, just don't join the military. Maybe that would be something you could show his parents.
Give them that book. There's that. Have you read the book that's like the 10 reasons, or they give it, actually, I think it's like 100. It's like 50 reasons why you shouldn't join the military, and they're actually very good, and I listened to none of them. Look how weird I turned out. Yeah.
That might be a good topic for the next show. We'll just go over
one of the quickest ways to anarchy, honestly, in my opinion, is freaking going through the military. Okay, it takes a couple years, but you figure it out pretty quick that you've been lied to.
Right, misled, tricked. It's a lot of ex-military members here who've come through that way. Aaron Thompson, also former military. So yeah, it's Johnny as well. It's an unfortunate realization through all the indoctrination you're put through and misled of into believing it's out there that's threatening us, and it's really here at home by the very same political rulers that sent you out there.
Right. It's such levels now. Getting back to the core argument with regard to, it's like so blatant and so just like, there's that news story where I forget where it was, but they had cops posing as homeless people with a sign that says, "I'm not homeless. I'm just checking for seatbelts and I'm going to turn you in." And it's like, dude, how they're murdering you in jails. They're killing their own kids. This is all on television. This is all on fucking YouTube. This is more prevalent than it's everywhere. It is absolutely everywhere. Unless you are blind, you are not seeing this. And they still freaking well, we can't get rid of the state. It's like, oh my god. It's like they're fucking. Oh, they have a knife to everyone's throat, and they still won't admit that the violence is impending.
No.
Never. How much more blatant? What will it take? Does a judge have to ride in on an eagle and with a flag streaming behind him and a baby in his arm, and does he have to rape the baby in front of in town square? What? At what point is hey, maybe government is a violent institution, and maybe humankind can do without it?
I think that at that point, it would be obvious. I mean, there's been a lot of obvious examples, and it continues.
People on national television. And it's a slow motion version of Mao's purges. I kid you not. It's a slow motion. I would say cross section of people being shot in the back of the head with AK-47s into mass graves. I mean, ultimately, that is the same effect. The graves are just not in one open trench. There's individuals who have to pay the cost of this, but it's the state violence that is so prevalent and it's so everywhere, and nobody just. Oh, we still need this.
Well, again, the point comes when we actually introduce this information to them.
Right. And without government, we'd all be cannibal rapists, and we'd all be murdering everyone. I'm sorry, Cal.
Government itself is a very cannibalistic cult, and especially
it's a death cult.
It is a death cult.
Oh, they have human sacrifice.
Right. I was measuring this to Shane the other day. I was just quickly remembering that scene in Mad Max where Mad Max was used as a blood bag. That's what children are used for.
That's taxation.
Right? Children are the blood bags of older generations.
You're the blood of the state. Good job.
Right.
Tied to the bumper of your nitro truck. Yeah, that's a really good metaphor, man. Friggin'. I looked at the Mad Max movie as sort of like just a big game of keep away. Ultimately, but that's I like that. I like looking deeper into it.
Right. Especially as they use the children for their own needs. The older generations uses children themselves.
Yeah.
The state uses children themselves. As,
or the state hobbling more able people to be at the level of the wheelchair guys, so to make it fair and competitive. So it's like,
right.
And then wonder why we don't have the cancer cures, why we don't have the levitating cars and the freaking gravity boots and everything. Why don't we have it? Like, well, you've hobbled everybody, and we're all equal now. Thank you. Right. We're all equally fucked.
So we're closing here on the hour, but yeah, the advice in terms of for this person, it's also ostracism works. I would say try that.
Or withdrawal support, man. Withdrawal. Read Liberty, man. What is it?
Etienne Liberté, the voluntary servitude.
The essay on voluntary servitude, dude. A tyrant will topple if there's nothing. He can't drag you. He can't drag you and force you to participate. Right. It's impossible. It's physically impossible. Even just to threaten you. Whatever. That's my advice. Is just read Liberty. Come up with your thoughts. Come on the show if you want. We'd love to have you.
Oh, please, yeah. Any questions or comments anyone has, I will gladly go over it. And in regards, I guess, wrapping up towards the very beginning, it's like, look, stop, for those who still advocate, she kicked him first, please take a moment, to step back,
Who's carrying the gun?
Right? It's not like she's threatening them in any manner. It's like she's restrained and handcuffed.
Yeah. Who's more dangerous? One drunk lady being disorderly in public, or freaking 50 armed dudes with radios and guns and a license to kill?
With an itchy trigger finger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and to get hero status if they fucking murder some people, protecting them or whatever.
Right. And one of them, dies during their duty of hurting peaceful people. They get a motorcade and traffic shuts down. But of course, you never have the same type of gratitude towards peaceful people who've never entered the vocation of hurting the lives of others and violating consent. Lots of incentives there in the murder politics of government. But yeah, thank you so much, Panxer, for being on the show, man. Thank you so much.
I hope this was cogent. I don't know. We went all over the place, man.
No, as we should. I mean, that's the matrix. The matrix persists everywhere. Everything the government touches, it taints. When stepping outside, see the stoplights. Run a stop sign. If you find a moment to get away with it, do it. It's get out of the habit of the obediency. Make sure everything's clear. There's no police extortionists hiding, and just do it. Otherwise, those every stop and every moment that you do come to a complete halt, I mean, those are minutes, those are seconds that add up that the state takes away from your life needlessly. Remember, you've seen a lot of cities in which where they remove traffic signs and stop signs, traffic and congestion drops, accidents drops, things move faster. So
there's less law, so oddly enough, there's less crime.
Right. Yeah, take control of your life. Start acting.
Live the anarchy, man. Live it.
Right.
What Rothbard was saying, we detach ourselves from the theory versus practice. Man. You gotta live it.
Right. Yeah. Put the theory into action. I think that's agorism too, in effect, the application of the theory. Yeah. So with that, man, it's good seeing you, man. Thank you, everyone, for watching the show.
I can't bro fist you through the camera. It doesn't work. Sorry. We're not at that point yet where I can give you a digital bro fist.
Right. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being patient and listening to our rants. And with that, we'll see you guys at the Victory Party. And definitely check out Anarchon if you're available next month.
Anarchon!
Take good care, guys.